Hi, this is Maggie. I wanted to talk about the dynamics of addiction in astrology. Um, there's people doing a major study of it, so this is just kind of off the cuff. But some of the things I look for in a chart indicating addiction to substance or, would be like, I don't want to generalize and have all Pisces think that they're addicts or alcoholics or obsessed because they're not. But a prominent a prominent Neptune, um, like sometimes Neptune can indicate addiction if it's has a hard aspect to your ascendant, your sun, or if you have just a ton of water in your chart, like Kurt Cobain, for instance. I looked at his chart and he had so much water, and he did have some hard aspects to Neptune. If you have Neptune um, conjunct your sun or on your ascendant, it, it doesn't, you really can't pinpoint addiction because you can't generalize with somebody's astrology chart. You really can't. I mean, it can indicate, but there's free will and there's choice. And so, it could be that that person may be a poet or a writer or, use their imagination in some other form because Neptune rules imagination and music and, delusion, fantasy. So escapist tendencies would be a heavy Piscean influence. Like, say, if you had all water, okay, grand water trine and a bunch of stuff squaring your Neptune on your ascendant, um, Sun conjunct Neptune in Pisces on your ascendant square. I don't know. I'm just doing. There's just so many variables, but generally I do look for hard aspects to Neptune, a heavy water influence. Um, yeah, and the ascendant. The ascendant is the body, the first house, and I also look at the 12th house. The 12th house is the house of Pisces, and it's and I also Scorpio, of course. Scorpio is a water house. Um, so yeah, and there, if you have, hard aspects to Scorpio and to Pisces and a bunch of stuff going on in Cancer, and they're all hard aspects and um, just predominantly water. The odds are that you're going to want to check out in some way or another. So, um, it could be just that you're extremely imaginative, or maybe just spaced out. It doesn't necessarily. You can't really pinpoint anyone as an alcoholic or a drug addict because, again, it's free will. It's choice, and you can't. The planets don't compel. It's all about. You create your own destiny. The planets just sort of direct. It's kind of like a soul map, and what you do with it, of course, is your choice. Um, so it's just a energies, a map of your energies, and um, the planets impel, they don't compel, or something like that. I think Robert Hand or Dane Rudyard or somebody said that, but yeah, absolutely. The only person who can label themselves as an addict or alcoholic is the person. I mean, everyone can tell them they have a problem, but only they can. I mean, look at Keith Richards. He just says, "I am who I am," and you can told his family, "You're gonna have to live with it. This is who I am," and he doesn't have an issue with it. So. yeah, so a lot of people could just be, use it, to make movies, or, just get lost in another world, just get lost in a world of illusion or delusion. Um, but, and depression too, is depression. There's so many aspects to addiction. You can't just label it all on astrology. You really can't, because there's mental illness, there's bipolar, there's depression. If Saturn's sitting on your sun or ascendant, that can sometimes indicate, if not depression, just a real heavy feeling of heaviness, heavy load on your shoulders that you're carrying around, or maybe hardship, seriousness. So it'll be interesting to see the studies done on this. So I just kind of look at it as it comes along. When I look at someone's chart, if I see something that jumps out at me, I may suggest that, just to be careful, because you may be subject to, some kind of addiction. So just to be aware of it, and sometimes it helps, sometimes it doesn't, but I think for an astrologer to point that out, that, if it is indicated in someone's chart, just, they could be very, very much aware of it, or they could, it's just potential, it's human potential. So they may have the potential for it, but they might use that potential in another way, just, they might just start Lucasfilms or something, who knows, So really, I don't believe you can make hard and fast judgments in astrology, because it is free choice, free will. It's not your hard carved out destiny, I don't believe, but there are indicators. There are indicators and potential for addiction, and you can see them. A lot of times they're very, very clear. If you look at Kurt Cobain's chart, or some of the, and he was a fabulous musician. Jimi Hendrix, sometimes there's a theme, and it usually involves Neptune, hard aspects, and hard aspects to the ascendant. A lot drown. He was literally drowning in water, and was able to express his beautiful music to the world, which I'm very thankful for. So there are gifts and there are liabilities, and everyone is born with human potential, and how they use it is up to them. And I mean, look at Eric Clapton. There's addiction, there's recovery, there's Scorpio. That's all about transformation. So if anyone can transform an addiction, it would be them. Or if you don't have to have a heavy Scorpio influence, but like right now, Jupiter is transiting Scorpio, and so it's an ideal time to tackle any inner demons that you want help with, because Jupiter is kind of like a blessing. It's just there, ready to help you to deal with your unconscious or conscious demons, or not demons, just psyche. Deal with your psyche. So, without looking at a chart, I really can't just make blanket statements about addiction. I think it's a fascinating topic, and and I'm certainly not labeling Pisces or Neptune. There are some very creative, imaginative Neptunian people. And there are also some people who are really, really just spaced out and not addicted to anything. And there's also mental illness. So you really have to be careful with this one before, and you really can't label anyone because only the individual can identify with, you know, their consciousness, you know, and when you read a chart, you have to do it according to Mark Jones, I believe, said that. You know, he prefers to do them face to face with all his clients because he wants to see what level of evolution they're on. And I think he does Pluto, Soul, evolution, evolutionary astrology, which deals with Pluto. So he wants to do it face to face to see where you are in your evolution, which makes sense. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Yeah, I just I don't have any more to say on it. I don't want to make any hard and fast judgments. So not everyone's going to be looking for their Neptune. You know, hard aspects to Neptune, challenging aspects, you know, they can be overcome. And, you know, it's just saying, you know, look at Eric Clapton, but I don't remember his chart. I did do it, and I don't remember exactly, but he opened a rehab, you know, the Crossroads, and, you know, overcame his addiction. So, yeah, and it doesn't always necessarily show in your chart, you know, or in your family genes, or sometimes it just is. So everyone is very quick to put labels, you know, ADD, and, you know, everyone is so quick to label everything. So yeah, there's absolute free will. You could, like when I talk about the North Node, it's driving towards maybe your destiny, and that could also be about evolution. You know, you may not see it in this lifetime. So anyway, that's enough. I hope you enjoyed this. If you do, please like and subscribe. Thank you. Happy Earth Day.